All right, all right. So GM, today is the dry run for how to Gitcoin, a new course that is developed by um, Ben West, a member of Gitcoin, and also I updated it to include recent information because most of the information were outdated. But this being a new course, there will be some maybe additions along the line to include some things that it should be or some subtractions as the case may be. So we start. History of Gitcoin. Gitcoin started originally as a project at Consensus and as a bounty platform to fund people doing open source web development projects on GitHub. One needed a GitHub account to set up a proposal on Gitcoin, so the name came from GitHub. This means that initially when GitHub was set up in when Gitcoin was set up in 2019, the aim was just to ensure that programmers or web developers that were doing open source projects that they received funding. Then to receive funding or to set up a proposal on Gitcoin, you needed to have a GitHub account, which is like a GitHub is a version control software, kind of. Paragraph 2, it then evolved into a peer-to-peer funding project like GoFundMe. Later, the Ethereum Foundation put together a paper on quadratic funding. You no longer need a GitHub account to set up proposals. So subsequent times, Bitcoin moved from just funding web developers that are working on open source projects on GitHub. It moved to something like GoFundMe, whereby people can like come to donate to individuals and kind of like projects. However, a more sophisticated and a more democratic approach was proposed by the Ethereum Foundation. It was called a quadratic funding. More on quadratic funding later. So right now, you no longer need a GitHub account to set up proposals because GitHub is now on a wider scope. The Gitcoin mission is to build and fund public goods. So it utilizes Gitcoin grants as quarterly crowdfunding mechanism. Now, Gitcoin grants are usually quarterly, like a quarter of the year, like one fourth of the year. So every one fourth of a year, there's a Gitcoin grants round that goes on to fund, projects. Leverages quadratic funding to democratically allocate matching funds and make progress on important projects and causes. So, like I said, we'll talk more about quadratic funding later, but quadratic funding is just a form of funding that is more democratic and a little sophisticated. In fact, it has its own formula, which we will see. Our vision and why. We are creating a suite of permissionless, modular, and decentralized protocols that will allow communities to rapidly test different funding mechanisms on top of a deeply liquid registry of projects and enable projects to grow sustainably. So basically, this is the vision of Gitcoin, and this is why they now under the Gitcoin protocol, we have the Git tools. One of the Git tools can be said to be GitLabs, which serves as a comprehensive platform for the entire software development cycle. GitLab serves as a comprehensive platform for the entire software development life cycle. So basically from the incubation of the software to the growth stage to the maturity stage, the life cycle of a software, it is managed by GitLabs. Now, another tool which I have mentioned earlier is GitHub, which is a version control software. So basically, GitHub is used when maybe a developer is working on one aspect of a project. Another developer can be working on another aspect of a project, and later they can all merge their own version of the project together to make up one. This is what GitHub is used for. Under the Gitcoin protocol, the second one we have Gitcoin history, in which I have explained in the first slide. And here is a link to read more about the Gitcoin history, the quadratic funding, which I mentioned briefly and I will elaborate on later, then Sybil resistance Gitcoin passports. So Gitcoin passports, I will not dwell much on it now because it is in the later part, but it's just a way of identifying you individually, that you are just one person and you are not using um, multiple accounts to access a platform. It is unique. The Bitcoin passport is unique to one person. The grant stack. The grant stack, also to be explained later, is basically how grant rounds are managed, starting from the beginning of the grant round till the end. So what is quadratic funding? Quadratic funding is a crowdfunding mechanism that amplifies available resources by inviting community members to make donations, big or small, that act as a vote that act as votes on where to allocate funds. The broader the support, the bigger the match. Quadratic funding is an optimal mechanism to fund public goods in a democratic way. So what is this implying? We are trying to say that quadratic funding is a way whereby when we have a particular resources, maybe like we have a fund that we want to distribute to different participants, different grantees, how can we ensure that these funds are distributed to them in the most democratic process? You know, some people can, they might be popular, so they might gather a lot of people, or maybe one person, sorry, they might just gather one person that has a lot of funds to fund them, and they're going to get higher than other projects that they don't have someone that can donate a huge amount of money. But we want to do it in an even way such that even if you have one person that can bring big amount of money to donate for you, we want to do it in such a way that even that doesn't guarantee that you get much of the funds. So basic Gitcoin quadratic matching example. Example is grant one gets $100 from one funder. So one person funded a project and the person donated $100. Now grant two gets $10 from 10 different funders. And if you notice, both grant one and grant two, they both had $100 in total of funding. The only difference is that grant one got his $100 from one funder, while grant two got $100 from 10 different funders. So let us see who will get more of this funding since both of them equal to $100. The final distribution of funds is calculated by using the quadratic funding formula, where the number of contributions matter more than the amount contributed. If you notice, Figure has 10 different funders, so like 10 contributions, which matters more than the total amount contributed. There is $100 matching fund available based on the distribution of support. Based on the distribution of support, grant one will get $20 in matching fund and grant two gets $80 in matching fund. Remember, grant one only got from one funder, while grant two got from 10 funders. Even though the total amount they got is still $100, grant two will get more of that fund than grant one. That is what we call a democratic process, whereby we are leveraging on the fact that we need more people to donate to a particular project. It's not about having one person that can drop a huge chunk of the fund. We need, even if it is $10, as long as we have more people donating to a project, that project will be given attention to based on this formula. This is the quadratic funding formula that we have here. So here's the link to learn more in depth about the quadratic funding. Which projects have benefited from Gitcoin grants? So far, Gitcoin has funded over $69 million open source software and public good causes. In DeFi, 1inch, Uniswap, Zappa, and more went from successful early Gitcoin grantees to billion-dollar projects. The introduction of the infrastructure category allowed projects like dAppNode, FastJS, TurboGet, and Wallet Connect to raise sustainable amount of funding for the first time. What we are trying to say is that these projects were able to raise huge amount of funding, all thanks to Gitcoin grants that they applied to and was able to raise so much for them and changed and turned around the project into $1 billion worth of projects. Now, which courses have benefited from Gitcoin grants? The It's not only projects or ecosystems that benefit from Gitcoin grants. Gitcoin grants can also fund courses in which we'll talk about. Over the past 9 months, Gitcoin course rounds have raised, with the help of our funding partners, over $4 million for cause-based public goods including climate solutions, diversity, equity and inclusion, blockchain advocacy, support for Ukraine, public health. These are the causes we are talking about. Dis cannot be we cannot really term them as projects. However, they are causes. Maybe the issue that is happening, probably the war between Israel and Gaza or Israel and Palestine. If there are some set of people that they need help, maybe financially, Gitcoin grants can Gitcoin course round can donate to such causes. So I hope that is clear. Then we have Gitcoin grants, which is the Gitcoin grant I've been talking about. So what exactly do we mean by Gitcoin grants? Gitcoin grants is a seasonal initiative empowering early stage builders through a combination of crowdfunding and grants. It is ideal for early stage projects to get the funding they need to take their project to the next level. So if you are just starting a project, you will surely need funding. Like there is no how. Even if you have some form of funding, you will still need to get funding from external sources. So Gitcoin grants is the way to go if you need funding for your project that is in early stage. Now, Gitcoin grants is not only for projects in the early stage. Even ecosystem builders, they also use Gitcoin grants to run a featured round to support innovative projects in the ecosystem. So ecosystem builders can obviously want to support innovative projects that align with their goals, that align with their mission in the same ecosystem. They can utilize Gitcoin grants to donate and fund. Now, the application for the Gitcoin Grant 19 is currently ongoing and it will end by the 8th of November 2023. So, whoever has any project and needs funding, you can still apply up until probably 7th of November before it closes. So, how it works for this, for a more comprehensive one, I would like us to go to the Gitcoin website. There is a more elaborate explanation that I want to read from there. The first being funds are pooled. Okay, I think we're there now. Good. Funds are pooled. Gitcoin raises a pool of funds. That is, first, we raise an initial pool of matching funds with the support of Gitcoin community. These matching funders include individuals, organizations, repeat donors, and champions of public goods. Their combined resources fund the matching pool for the round. So in case you are wondering, Gitcoin, you are using it to donate to projects. Where is the fund coming from? Well, here is how the fund comes. We pool resources, we pool funds from different individuals, organizations, and public goods to create the pool of fund. So secondly, we have the application period. Grantees submit applications for round participation. Just like I said that the application is still ongoing until maybe 8th or 7th of November. Grantees can apply to a specific round in some cases, multiple rounds, as long as they meet the eligibility criteria before going through an onboarding process. So after the application period, what's next? We have the review period. Gitcoin reviews applications against set of criteria. Once the application period has closed, our team carefully reviews each one. If a grantee's application is accepted into a round, they will be notified and their profile will be displayed in Builder. So this is trying to tell us that When you apply for the round, that does not mean that automatically you get accepted. Your project is going your application is going to undergo a review. So there are sometimes some applications might be rejected. However, if your application is accepted, you'll be notified. So the next is crowdfunding period. That is after your application has been reviewed and has been accepted, supporters will vote and donate. Then we deploy the round so the community can decide how the matching funds are going to be distributed to grantees through quadratic funding, which multiplies the funding impact to projects that receive broader support. So it is this crowdfunding period that we are going to be using quadratic funding I explained earlier. So all the projects that their applications have been reviewed and accepted, then people will be invited to vote and donate. And after the donation, after the voting, the funds are going to be allocated using the quadratic funding formula. That is, more people will be given, more people that vote on a particular project, that project will be given more priority than just maybe a project that one person dropped a huge amount of money. So the last stage is funds are distributed. Gitcoin distributes matching funds once the grant round is complete. At the end of the round, projects will receive both their donations from supporters and the allocated matching fund from Gitcoin. This tends to take a few weeks so we can check all donations for Sybil interference. So just like I explained earlier, funds will be distributed. However, some checks will go on just to ensure that some people did not apply for the Gitcoin round using more than one project, like one person owning more than one project and using it, claiming they are different people entirely. So after the Sybil checks and everything is fine, the funds will be distributed. So that's this for how it works. The next is the Gitcoin grant stack. So the Gitcoin grant stack is a protocol enabled solution that enables any community to easily create, manage and grow a grants program, from deployment and application management to funds allocation. So basically, the Gitcoin grant stack is also available to other people that want to utilize what Gitcoin is doing, that is creating a crowdfunding mechanism. So if you want to start a grant yourself, you want to start a grant where people can apply to for funding, you can use the Gitcoin grant stack as a product that will help you to manage and grow your grants program from start to the end. And deployment, application management, everything is going to be handled by the Gitcoin grant stack. And I'm not sure if it is free because it is a product that is offered by Gitcoin. It will most likely be premium. What's new? After Gitcoin round 15, that is maybe like a year or 2 years ago, we retired the old grant platform. Secondly, launch of grant stack enables any community to run their own grants program tailored to their unique needs. So just like I explained earlier, grant stack, you can also run your own grant program, tailored to whatever need you want it to solve. Maybe you want a grant program for a project in a particular ecosystem, you can use grant stack for that. Now we have Allo. Allo is a fairly new product um that is being offered by Gitcoin. Allo is an open source protocol that enables groups to efficiently and transparently allocate pooled data. It is a versatile platform that allows for various funding programs, including always on grants and integrated voting systems. It powers Gitcoin Grant Stack. It is designed to be flexible and can boost resources flexibly. So what this means is that Allo, as an open source protocol, is the one that powers Gitcoin Grant Stack. Like I explained earlier, Gitcoin Grant Stack is used to manage grants. However, the main protocol that is responsible for managing that grant stack, the system that is embedded that enables you to run your grant stack on the Gitcoin, it is this Allo, which is an open source protocol. So that's what this is trying to tell us. It is the one that powers the quadratic funding. It is Allo. Allo is like the embedded and integrated open source protocol that is being used. Now, we have the Gitcoin passport. Passport provides a shared open source infrastructure for identity verification. It enables individuals to collect verifiable credentials once and use them across many platforms, and enable builders to secure their platforms with fit-for-purpose open source scoring models. We have designed Passport such that builders can adopt it for their platform security and choose whether to use the Gitcoin Passport UI for their users or build their own. Users will still have a Gitcoin Passport record regardless of where they originally created their account for continuity across all platforms. So basically what all these walls of text is trying to tell you is that Bitcoin also offers another product that's called the Gitcoin Passport. And what does the Gitcoin Passport do? The Gitcoin Passport is something that is unique to every human being. It is to ensure that people don't carry out civil attacks. Okay, so just like the Gitcoin, some people might want to use more than one project to collect grants from Gitcoin Rand, whereas they won't do as if they are the owner of all the projects. They will do as if it's a different project independent of them. Gitcoin Passport will prevent this. Gitcoin Passport will ask for, you know, it will verify your identity. So there's no way you will use Gitcoin Passport to verify your own identity and you use that same Gitcoin Passport to verify another person. It will link back to you. That is what it's trying to tell you. And you can customize your Gitcoin passport. Like I said, it is a product offered by Gitcoin. So you can use it with just a few lines of code. You can integrate Gitcoin passport into your own project, whereby anybody that wants to interact with your project, you verify them with Gitcoin passport to ensure that they don't carry out civil attacks. And I am well informed that Bankless Academy, a leading project that teaches Web3 stuffs within Barclays DAO, they also use Gitcoin passports to ensure that, I mean, people don't carry out civil attacks. And like I stated here, you can also change the UI, like the user interface. You can build it like your own, but it still remains that of Gitcoin. So let's just check it on their website here and see. So it might involve some things like connecting wallets, which I wouldn't be able to do, but just to show you the interface. So basically, if you want to get started with Gitcoin Passport, this is where you go to. As you can see here, take control of your identity. By collecting stamps of validation for your identity and online reputation, you can gain access to the most trustworthy Web3 experiences and maximize your ability to benefit from platforms like Gitcoin grants. The more you verify your identity, the more opportunities you have to vote and participate across Web3. So basically, it's more like it helps your reputation when you have the Gitcoin passport. It contains your personal identity. Though there is privacy, it doesn't mean that it is your whole life that will be there. You have privacy whereby not all of your private information is going to be shared. However, there are stamps that you collected. Like the more you verify your identity, the more trustworthiness you have in the Web3 spaces. So we have some people whereby their Gitcoin passports, they have more stamps than the other. So those people with the Gitcoin passports with more stamps, they have more credibility than people with a fewer stamps. You can also use Bright ID to verify your Gitcoin passport. Bright ID is also a software that is unique to individual. It's more like proof of uniqueness. You can also use it to integrate with Gitcoin passports. So I think I will want to go to the real website of Gitcoin, at least Gitcoin we've been talking about, so you can see their interface and how it looks like. So we are heading over to the Gitcoin program now. So this is the website. This is how the Gitcoin program looks like. And like I stated earlier, you can still apply to the Gitcoin Grants 19 before the 8th of November. This is where you click to apply if you want to be part of the grantees that will receive funding. So these are the products like that I stated. This is the Gitcoin grants. Okay. Um. I can see Hypolite saying I should come close to my speaker. Okay. I hope you can hear me better now. So basically, this is the grants, Gitcoin grants, whereby you can receive and donate. This is the stack that you can use to manage your funding. Then this is Gitcoin passports. If you want to launch your own passport and use it inside your own project, if you want to protect your project too, this you can play around with these things and get more information. We cannot put everything inside this course. So this is view docs. If you want to know everything about the Gitcoin passports, these docs you can read them all here. Then this is the Allo I mentioned. So if you want to know all about Allo, you can read the announcements, the updates, you can read it here. You can go here to even visit the UI for Allo, in which I'm going to be viewing now. Yeah, so this is how the UI for Allo looks like. Allo is an open source protocol that enables groups to efficiently and transparently allocate pooled capital. They have a blog, which I would advise you to visit their blog and read more if you want to know more about Allo. Then this is just basically you playing around to know everything that you are required to know before you start using it, because I advise you to know about all these tools before you start using it so as to get the most out of it. So this is basically all for how to Gitcoin session for now. Like I stated, this is the first time this session will be taken. It was just developed. However, we might update it as time goes by. In fact, we will update it as time goes by. So in future sessions, don't be surprised if you see some new things being added, some things being removed. It's going to undergo updates. So I'll be taking questions for now. And again, I hope my mic is clear enough. I'll be taking questions for now. So anyone that has any question about what I just took, I can go to the interface together with you and show you. I can go into the slides. Mm, Anybody with a question, I'll entertain questions, please.
GM, GM,
Yeah, GM Sasha. Yeah,
please,
GM.
I have a question.
All right.
Concerning Gitcoin, I noticed that you have to get certain number of stamp to be able to donate on the platform. So you mentioned Bright ID. Like, is Bright ID the only way? Because I noticed that you have to get like 20. You have to get like 20 stamp, or is it 20 or something? 20 something stamp before you are able to like donate. Is it that Bright ID has like more points compared to other social media handles? Because I noticed that the other social media handles there. Also, I've tried connecting the Bright ID. Like, I noticed